Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Backpack Trader Training Room for Thursday, August 11th. Please note the required risk disclosure. This room is for educational and information purposes only. It is not to be considered financial advice. Risk of trading futures, forex, equities, options, and crypto can be substantial. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable in light of your circumstances and financial resources. That means don't do this with money you cannot afford to lose. All right. Good morning, Miles. Good morning, Bob. Good morning, Anime Editor. All right, we've got a few minutes before market opens yet. Currently, the YM has a get in sync possibility for our start time at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. Central time is the exchange time for the YM, obviously. As is soybeans, which is traded out of Chicago, I believe. And that has it's not a get in sync. It's just a valid trade setup for valid long setup at 42.50. So we'll be waiting for market open for both of those. But crude oil. Have a lot of things close in here. Start time is right at this yellow trade that never triggers in. And actually, how fast? Yeah, the short was too fast to have picked up the get in sync. So our first trade, no entry on the SMA short. Our first trade is this blue long at 902.12, 93.43. Progresses a little ways, comes back and sets up a stop and reverse. Now, 2-tick stop and reverse adjustment brings us to 26. Then we make a key level adjustment around the 5 to 24. And so that stop and reverse never happens. We stay long. So we're still long through here. We ignore the yellow trade because we're still in the prior trade. We come up, hit target 1 for 21 ticks. And then it stops out at 93.57. So 35 ticks on two positions, even though we only hit one target. So a nice one and done session for crude. Making sure you honor the stop and reverse adjustment and key level on this short trade. It keeps you out, keeps you in the long, and ultimately is successful. All right, market just about to open. Unleaded, you have trade at 7 seconds after 9. But gives you over a little more than 12 seconds to get in. More than 12 seconds. So you definitely should be in that short. Target 1 or target 2, whichever you're trading, 58 or 89 ticks. And a nice trailer down to 0966. We're back down close to $3 a gallon on the wholesale price of unleaded, which will certainly be good at the pump. And our entry was 1029. So a solid trade there, and the markets are open. In the long trade on soybeans, 42.50. And almost there's the short triggering in. 5.13 on the YM. target 1 on soybeans. That'll be a POQ trade. This will be a one and done session. So 10 ticks on target 1. Looking now for target 2 at 16 and target 3 at 22. And there's target 2. So 26 ticks already. That's 6.5 points. And our stop is at 43.75. Stop and reverse now on the YM at 35.26. We do key level around the 5s for a stop on the YM, not for an entry, and we get a money management and a 1-tick break even. So a small loss and a break even so far on the YM. Looks like we hit 48 even on the nose. So 3 targets and a short on the YM now. 499. Just below the 50. We've got, looks like 3. We set the new session high, tested it once, tested the second time, and now pulling back to the 50. If we can break through the 50 here, we got a good chance of this short trade moving on down, but it looks like we're not going to go that way right now. It's still getting support from the 50. We're up at session highs on all of our index trades. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Pamela. All right. That short is still valid on the YM. Has not triggered in yet, but we also haven't had any closes above the balance line. Okay, that's going to be too far to get into the long on the Russell, but the next long there is definitely going to be a target. It's a target 3 win and a very small trailer. Definitely should have time to get in, to pull back on the second bar. And we do trigger short. Is it going? Oh, now it bounces back up again. Well, I am not sure what direction it wants to go. Soybeans stop at 46.75. And we'll come back to and lots of time to get in another long on the Russell here. $93.2, and definitely in that. $47 even for soybeans. And stopping out at 14.47 even on soybeans. So that trade is complete. If you trade all 4 positions, you got 26.48 plus 44. 92 ticks. 23 points at $50 a point. So $1,250 trade. Oh, that's 23 points, $1,150. And the YM now pushing down through, did get back down through the 50. It's coming tested again. The Russell took a full stop on the second long. Then we pick up a short. And that third bar was like 19 seconds, so a very good, fair chance of getting in there, picking up a scalp target and a couple of ticks on the trailer. And unfortunately, another loss on the long side. Now it's 2 losses, 2 winners. YM approaching its money management. Money management is at 464. I want one thing for your, and there's money management and target 1. So the YM is going to be, that should get us, probably get us positive. That's a 39 tick target. Actually, I didn't look at this long trade back here. That would have been our POQ trade. That was 8:30, excuse me, 9:30 start. Yeah. All right, so stop at 486 now on the YM. And unfortunately, a full, that was a second full stop. And we touched the entry and pulled back to the stop. I'd say that's an avoidable trade on the short side. Just one tick through the entry and then back to the stop. Not tracking the trade because it hit both stop, entry and stop on the same bar. So the calculator doesn't know what to do, so it doesn't track it at all. Crude at sessions highs as well, up in the, getting close to $94 a barrel again. As Troy mentioned, about somewhere between Tuesday and Thursday next week, we're going to transition to the October contract on crude. All our energies for that matter. But you want to watch each one of them separately for volume. My experience is that unleaded and heating oil will often transition to new contracts slightly before crude will, as far as the volume is concerned. But Thursday would be the official rollover day for the markets. And the YM stopping out at 481. So 39 on target. 499 to 481, 18. 57 ticks on that. And that long trade was just too fast to catch. So that was our first trade, one and done on the YM. So soybeans in the YM and crude all one and done. All right, looks like the pound Aussie, 8:30 start, would have gotten in sync with the long trade, didn't get far enough to get money management, and would have stopped and reversed. Now that entry is at 77, so we would have stopped and reversed at 74. Right there, and that would have pushed our money management to 62. But we would have gotten money management, and now two positions have come off at target 2. And the trailer at 73. So we'll have to go back and look at where we are there. Unleaded gas, since I didn't get to look at that earlier. Two seconds. That's right. 7 seconds after. That's right. Yeah, we did look at that. 58 or 89 on the target. And 99. No, I'm sorry. That wasn't 99. That was 1029 to 066. So 34 and 29 is 63 ticks on the trailer. Nice one and done session on unleaded. Unleaded coming off of it's where it had been and where we traded this morning. Let's see. Actually, I didn't. Yeah, I had to. That's the trade that was marked up. So it come off a fair amount from there, down in the $3.06 area for wholesale unleaded price, which we're trading up around 310. And a new long trade on the Russell 4250. One. And definitely time to get in sync there on that third bar. It just came down to the entry again. Trade number 5, money management, and going through session highs on the Russell. Got target 2, looking for target 3. And right now, this is still a break even. And stopping out for break even. So we have 2 wins, 2 losses, and a break even. All right, so let's take a look at, we can take one more trade, but let's take a look at the micro NQ while we're here. And there's our start time. Actually, that short trade is 1924. 16-second bar on bar 3. That's a very likely a chance to have gotten in it. It's money management, so that's a break-even trade. It looks like lots of time to get into this long, and that also is a break-even. Question is, how was the short? Almost a full minute to get into that one, so we're definitely in that. It's at least break-even already. This is the 12.3 bar 3-point offset custom Renko. So the Unirenko settings for NinjaTrader, which I'm projecting this morning, would be trend 12, offset 36, and reversal 84. And that's 3 break evens this morning on the NQ 12.3. And the pound Aussie pushing down on target 3. And looks like target 3 is 71.51, and we got as low as 49. So that's definitely a target 3 win. 3 positions off now. 60% of your trade if you're trading all 4 targets. 2 positions remaining, and the stop at 71.71. All right. 4th long trade on micro NQ 12.3. Looks like plenty of time to get into that. That's 5. Yeah, definitely time to get in there. We just came through the entry again. So in the long for trade number 4 there. That will take, as soon as this trade completes, we'll take a look at the 6-2, see if that did any better. Things are a little slow this morning, so this chart may be a little slow, but if you're trading one chart or the other, don't switch back and forth. Be consistent. Trade the same chart regularly unless you have specific rules for switching back and forth, and that you've tested so you have rules for it and that you have a statistical advantage using those. Welcome, Don. Target 4 on pound Aussie at 71.44. Oh, we missed it by 1 tick. I would definitely take profit getting that close. I got to 44.1. A tenth of a pip. So try to take your profit on that one as close as possible. If nothing else, don't let it go back more than target 3. Bring your target 4, the stop for your target 4 position to 71.51, and leave your trailing stop at 71.63. But I certainly wouldn't let that go all the way back, that position go all the way back to 63. All right, just over 10 minutes to the 10 a.m. crude session. And so, yep, I would have stopped if it were me. I would, if I wasn't watching closely when it got within 1, and got out within the pip there, I would have come off. I would have had the position come off at 51. And now stop is at 62, which was our money management. So that would be 12 pips currently for the final position. So assuming you came off at target 3, 2 at target 2 for 38 ticks, 38 pips total, 52 pips at target 3. That's 90 pips, and that certainly is enough to get you positive from the stop and reverse. Going from 86 to 74. So that's 12 times 5 positions, 60. Yeah, so you're going to be at least 42 pips positive. All right, the long trade on micro NQ still trying to work higher. YM working up close to its session high, but still just off of it, as is the micro NQ. See where the Russell is. It's just set a new session high moments ago. All right. And looks like we did get a win to the long side on the Russell. Although I'm not sure that's in our trade session. I think that may be a trade beyond. I'll have to go back and look, see where the micro NQ still not doing anything, not moving very far, right around the entry. And the pound Aussie stop still at 62. So let's take a quick look at the MNQ 62. This is also a central time exchange time chart. So I'm an hour ahead of exchange time. Ooh, that's close. Came back and touched the entry on the bar that includes our start time. So that short is possibly tradable. You have to break it down and see where it was. See if it came back up and hit that with enough time to have gotten your order in. But targets 2, 3, and 4, and a nice trail between targets 2 and 3. And another case of touching the entry and stop, not knowing which happened first. The trade is not tracked. If you break that bar down, if you didn't hit the entry before the stop, that's a valid long trade that gets at least to target 2. That would be a target 3 win. Targets 2 and 3. And here you actually would still be in. No, actually you stopped out right here. So then I would come back and get in sync with this long. And that gives you targets 2 and 3 again. So 3 winners in a row. And another probably touched the end. Well, I don't know. It just only went 1 tick beyond the entry. So that one, you got to tear the bar apart to figure out what happened first. Although if it did trigger, if you did get in it, it's actually it's actually not it's not a full stop out. It does go for a win if it was tradable. Yeah, all 4 targets and a solid trailer. So 4 wins if it's tradable. Another case of pullback, letting you get in before you got to break even money management. Targets 2, 3, and 4. Solid trailer. That's 5. 6-2 was definitely the chart to be in this morning. And it looks like 6 was a same second, 5 seconds. Yeah, that was not tradable. Stopping out. And unfortunately, a full stop out on the longs. So the longs is the 6th trade, and that's it for the day on the 6-2. Very successful. And we're still in the same trade on this. Although it's taking heat right down there at the stop in the long. That's trade number 5 today on the MNQ 12.3. The chart I was just looking at was the 6-2. That one being 8-tick trend, 16-tick offset, and 40-tick reversal for. Now it's getting noisy, so good thing we're done with that session. And the pound Aussie stopping out. At 62. Two trades and positive POQ there as well. So, all right, let's check in on heating oil. I don't know. Let's keep an eye on. We're less than a minute from our start time on the 10 a.m. crude session. $15 seconds. MNQ long still surviving. 5 seconds. And there's our start time for the for the crude 10 a.m. session, mini session. Crude on a down move now. No trade, and that long trade on the micro NQ now working. We've reached money management, so we are at break even stop 96.25. Target 2 is 24.50, and we've missed it by one tick. That's another one of those cases where you get that close, you want to take some profit. If you're watching closely, and if you're trading that chart, you should be watching it closely. So be ready to take a position off when it gets that close. Troy must be doing his job really well, because nobody wants to ask any questions. Excuse me. All right, still in that long trade on the micro NQ. Still waiting for our first trade on the crude mini session. Unleaded in the mini session, actually in a long trade. If you trade a mini session there, it's in a long trade. MNQ setting new session highs. YM also. The Russell set some session highs. Yeah, it set a session high and has pulled back now. Well, wait a minute. Go forward. Yeah, in fact, Russell just set a session high. Setting session highs. And getting target 2 on that micro NQ trade that took forever to work its way out. I say forever, it only seems that way when you're watching it, right? And I wasn't watching crude. It bounced through. There's a 17. Yeah, plenty. It should be plenty of time to get in that. And it just hit money management. But not target 1 yet. Minimum money management, so stop at 93. Actually, stop at 92.99 until we get a target. Good morning, Neil. Yes, that's correct. I've got Catapult on the 12.3 Renko. I can probably put full counterpunch. I don't have CPX loaded on my machine, but CPX is just a subset of full counterpunch. Counterpunch just handles filters and key level adjustments in the calculator, whereas CPX2 does not. But yeah, I've got Catapult on both the 6.2 here that we had quite a bit of success with this morning, and the 12.3 that's been just pretty much sideways. This was the fifth trade and the first one that got to target 2. Let's see if we can. Looks like it doesn't want to. I need to update that too. Yeah, I need to put that. Next month we're gonna have to roll these, so I got to update my. Oh, the difference basically is Catapult is a single bar setup. What you will probably find is a lot of the counterpunch setups are going to be basically at the same place, but they'll just be off of. They'll be larger, but they'll be from like here. Now, 12-3 on counterpunch, because it's a 3-tick setup, is going to be really big trades. 6-2 is probably a whole lot more reasonable to try to do something with counterpunch, because you're dealing with a 3-bar setup. Although, yeah, well, you're going to get some big trades because you're usually going to pick up the reversal bar, which is going to be almost twice as large as your bar size. And on these, but although on the counterpunch, you're going to get on the range. If you're using the Renko bars, you're going to get a long bar on the first one, plus your 2, so you're going to get about double the size trades on counterpunch that you do on catapult. So you want to be a little careful getting to something as slow as the 12-3. Hitting target 3. And it looks like it hit at 39 point. That probably needs to be a little bigger for the. This is the same parameters as the 6-2 as far as targets, but so it's a straight point value for the fixed maximum excursion target versus an X factor for the target 4. It's now gone through actually target 3. It's working up to target 4. But that's that's the basic difference in between counterpunch and catapult. Is catapult's a 1-bar setup versus counterpunch is a 3-bar setup. Now, obviously, they use very different parameters to get you to the trades, but quite often they come at the same places. If you put the counterpunch exhaustion dots on a catapult chart, see if I can do that. should get me what I want. Yeah, that was what I was looking for. See, the exhaustion dots put a trade right there at the same place on Counterpunch, and would have put an add-on trade in right here. But you note it's going to be, the X factor is going to be almost twice the size, twice or more the size of your X factor. In fact, it's going to be more than twice the size of your X factor for the catapult trade. All right, kind of lost track there. So we lost a couple of ticks on the long trade. It did stop out at the break-even stop, which was adjusted across the key level, the major key level. So we lost 4 ticks total. Trade 2 is a short. It meanders back and forth, and then looks like we stop and reverse into a long at 03. That's then going to stop and reverse back to short, and that's going to just exit for, that's trade number 3. So rough set, and we just hit a consolidation zone for our 10 a.m. session, and we took break even, small loss on the break even trade, so a stop and reverse loss and a stop and reverse loss. Trade 3 would have been the winning trade, picking up 10 and 16 ticks, but that wouldn't be in our trade. That would be trade 4. That wouldn't be enough. Still wouldn't be enough to get us positive, I don't believe. And now in trade 5. But yeah, the MNQ now going through target 4. That's a big trade on the 12-3. Let me see if I can turn on the purple trades. Oh, no wonder. This is what I want. Let's use the seconds and apply that and see what it looks like. No, doesn't look like it. Okay, yeah, there it is. Entry offset's different. It's 2 rather than 6 ticks. But there's your money management. Yeah, it's a green trade. So there's your target 1, just below target 2. Target 2 up here, just above target 3 for catapult, and target 3 just above target 4 for catapults. We've hit all 3 targets on Counterpunch as well on this one, but it just was a much bigger trade. back to just the setup dots. All right, other questions? Welcome, Neil. Thank you for the question about the difference in Catapult and CPX2 on that 12.3 MNQ chart. But let's see. We're looking at a target 2 was 28.5 points. So that would be your target 1, and that would be your money management level on Counterpunch. So that's going to be pretty big trades. Your risk on this trade had a 15.5 point risk on Catapult. Given your exhaustion dots, we're at 65.25. Now let's see, what was the low? 65.75 to 94.50. Now 28.75 points was your X factor. So that's a big trade. Let's see, what's that? $5 a point. That's actually not bad, but the thing is, you may or may not get enough movement enough of the time to make that worthwhile. That's where you've got to go back and do your back testing. Find out if you've got enough movement to get yourself positive with a high enough winning percentage that you get positive most sessions. Are there enough trades? Are there enough the trades of appropriate size? 28 and 3/4 points is what? 28 points at $5 a point, 140, almost $145. So certainly not too big for pretty much any account. So you're looking at you'd want a $7,500 to $10,000 account to trade for that size trade at a minimum. And that's assuming just one position. Now you start looking at trading 2 or 3 positions there, and now you're at approaching 300 or 450. So you're at a $15,000 to $25,000 account. With 15,000 with 2 positions, 25,000 with 3, 2250. So that you got to look, and that's just for micro NQs contracts. So those are some of the things you got to be aware of when you get into the slower charts. They're going to give you bigger trades. They're going to be easier to trade, but they're going to give you larger trades. But so far, that one is the trailer is now up beyond target 4. Yeah, targets 2, 3, and 4 would be over 100 points on this trade, and you're over 50 points on the trailer. Yeah, and there's the stop out. So that's a $750 trade, but you got to be able to afford 4 positions. So you need that's roughly a $600 risk. You're looking at a $30,000 account to maintain your 2% risk parameters. All right, folks. That about does it for our charts again this morning. YM, 9 a.m. crude, the YM, and soybeans all one and done, as well as unleaded gas. 10 a.m. crude session was a bust. In micro NQ, slow moving this morning, but finally giving us a really strong trade after 4 break evens on the 12.3. 6.2 was just incredible, getting 4 winners before taking its first, or 5 winners before taking its first loss on trade number 6. What, Neil? What does your testing say about your win rate as far as sessions go with the 12.3? Have you built your own spreadsheet with it yet? Use the UTA spreadsheet to some back testing. I assume that since TJ was helping you, since Troy was helping you, he was probably working with the. So you can refer back to that to see what the win rate is. Now you'll have to use fast test to look at your session win rates. But ballpark, are you? So are you winning? At 80% of your sessions? Okay. All right. That's what you're looking for. All right. Yeah. That's 75 to 80% is not a bad win rate from the set on a session basis. Yeah. Let's take a look at what. Are you starting at 4 minutes after? I'm assuming. Okay. So you're using a POQ of 1. Did you get this trade at right around 8:34 this morning? On my chart, it's set up at 8:34:19. Three total trades, but you say normally one and done. So you're always taking 3 trades, or are you going power of quitting on if you have a target objective win or target 4 and positive? Sorry about that. I asked too many questions to know what the yes was responding to. Target 2, okay. Target 2 and positive for POQ and POQ 1. So okay. So if your 3 total trades and you matched up with what I had, you had 3 break evens this morning and we're done, right? So you would not have gotten this trade, which was trade number 5, at least on my chart. And now we have another one going back on the short side. You caught the okay. Yeah, you would definitely be done for the day on that one as long as you hadn't had a loss before it. POQ 1. So you must not have gotten one of the shorts or one of the trades that I was looking at this morning. Because what I had was starting at 8:34. I had this break even short. That would have been a green trade. Oh, that's right. Yeah. You wouldn't necessarily be break even on these. Yeah. Yeah. That would have been a green. Okay. So yeah, you caught this trade. This would have been a purple trade. That didn't get to money management for you. Now that should have been that probably would have been a white trade right there for stop and reverse. I don't have the histogram on, so I'm not sure. And then you'd have reversed back into the. Okay, that showed up as a green add-on for when I had the calculator on. Let me throw the calculator on again. See what those look like. Now, obviously, you've got different X factors and so forth. Okay, yeah, you had a green trade right at start time. You may or may not have gotten into. Then you had the purple long. That looks like it did. Now that's just standard settings on it. Didn't quite get to money management. Oh, so you're using hybrid mode. You haven't got that on CPX2, but that's essentially what you're doing is using the moving CPX MA to inform stop and reverses only. Okay, so then you had. Yeah, it looks like you had green here, purple there, and you say you didn't take the white because of the MA. So you're still in the purple trade. That's interesting. I show you still in the purple trade here. Yeah, okay. I'm showing a purple trade there. Did you get this 939 purple? You took off the whole trade? Are you okay? Or did you take off the position and then since it just missed T1? That's right. You don't use the T1 for target, but yeah. So you brought it to break even then, I assume. Because T1 is your break even point, right? Okay, so what? Unless your trade plan is different, then if you're not taking profit at T1, then you can, if you come just short like that, you can come to break even, and so you'd come off here just before the white trade, and so you're actually doing trend mode. The moving average will keep you out of any trade against the trend. Okay, let's throw that on there. Okay, yeah, there's the moving average, still blue. Then comes up, and then you come up and pick up this one. Okay, and that's the monster. Yep. Okay, so this one was just too quick for you to trade, I assume. Oh, okay, you are using target one. Okay. Then why did you take all of the trade off at when it rolled over at target one? Because you don't know it's going to come all the way back to the stop at that point. What you should be doing at that point is take the position off and take the position off and bring your stop to break even, and give it some space to come back up, because it very well may do that. Or have you tested against that? But you want to be real careful about getting completely out of something when it may very well go on to targets 2 and 3 and beyond. Yeah, the purple trade. Because when you rolled over right here, just below target one, just take off the one position, or that 50% position, 50% of position, leave the other 50%, and you'd have come off in this case at break even, but that gives you it could pull back and then go on. But you should test that. Look for cases of where it misses like that, and see if it's worthwhile to leave half the position on to maintain the trade. Yeah, okay, you're taking some profit out of that and maintaining. You're getting 50% profit, or you're getting your 50% target, and you may get break even on the other 50% of the trade, or it may turn around and go on to target two and trail even further. You never know. That's why I say you want to go back and look at quite a bit of data to see how is best to trade that situation. I don't know what Troy and I both normally do with cases where we miss targets by a tick or two is we'll take just that position off and leave the rest of the trade to whatever the trade plan is. We don't take the whole trade off just because it rolled over at one particular target. But that's the point of why you make rules, though. If you follow the rules, you end up not on a particular trade. We're not trying to avoid losing trades or maximize the profit out of every trade. You want to have your best statistical advantage in the long term. It's not about one trade. If you're in a situation where you break your rules, then you're no longer trading your trade plan. And that is one of the major keys to that Troy teaches, and I definitely have to agree with, is when you build a trade plan that gives you a statistical advantage, you need to adhere to it. When you start breaking the rules, you break them once, okay, and you won. It reinforces that, but then the next time, what happens? In the long run, does breaking the rules like that benefit you? And if it does, then it should be part of your rule set. But without testing it over a long period or over a number of trades, and I'm talking about 50 or 100 trades, you don't know if it's going to make you make money in the long run. And this time it actually saved you the 50%, the partial target on 50% of your position. Next time, you may have taken off the whole position and it rolls over and then goes back up. Like, look at what it did on the really nice trade. What if you had been close to target one here and it pulled back like that and you took the whole position off and you missed all of that? What would you have thought about breaking the rules then? If you go back and look and you find triple tops and it rolls over like that at just below a target and it typically stops out, yeah, great. That's the right way to do it. But is it worth missing if this had happened near your target rather than well below target one? What would have happened if you had rolled out of it? Because that actually is essentially, it's testing that same top level, but this time it held and went way on up. But if you take that same approach, is you've got a triple top there, and yeah, you've got three tests of that. And actually, if you look at this one, it's testing that very first one. It looked like it's probably testing this one at 506.50. Yeah, 506.75. That one's part of that same formation, yet it did this. So, the one before it could very well have done that too. That's why I say test. And now that you've seen that, go through some testing and see what it does, and see if that's the right thing to do, is take the whole position off or leave half the trade. Because you've still gotten your 50% at target one, but you've gotten your 25% to target two and 25% way up here above target four. Or in my case, for you, it would have been above target three. But see if it does that enough times that it's worthwhile. You have to break out and do a separate spreadsheet for just that, to see what's best. But that's the kind of things you need to test and be aware of before you start breaking rules. Or if when you break it once, you go, okay, that's something I need to look at. When you see that and you want to break your rules, test to see what the deviation you were going to make is actually going to make you money in the long run. You need to be looking at the forest, not the trees, as Troy says. And I'm not saying that what you did was wrong, but I'm saying if you look at it in the context of, okay, that was one, and you don't know what it's going to do. Yeah, it pulled back through that one. And in fact, well, no, it didn't. But see, it didn't pull back anywhere near. Oh, and now if you move to target one, or to break even, yeah, it pulled back and stopped you out. So it would have taken you out of half the position at break. You broke even on half the position, and you gotten your 50% target, slightly less than. But what happens if this trade, because this is in that same, this is a fourth test in the very same area where you already have a triple top. Because and when I look back to the first one, that's the level of the very first top. That's I understand. I certainly understand, and that's why doing testing like this before you get into those situations gives you the information to know, okay, this is the way to handle this within my rules, and not just make an emotional reaction outside of your rules. But that's where the importance of doing some testing comes in. You begin to see some things like that, and you go, oh, okay, should I look at that and see, okay, there we got a triple top and I get close to a target. Is it best to take just the position off or go out of the whole trade? Is what's statistically better in the long run, not just what's better on that one trade. Because if you continue to do that, you could very well miss some things like what your winning trade was this morning. That's on the purple trade. Actually, that getting that close to, if you're going to take profit at target one, I would go ahead and bring it to break even, because you don't want to lose money on the other half of your position. Once you've taken profit, there's no reason to. You shouldn't take profit until a point you're at least comfortable with going to break even. So I would go ahead and come to break even now. Let's see, where was the white trade was here. That's the thing is, you didn't have the white trade. I would have, when you when you took profit here, I would have just moved because you didn't have the white trade yet, because that didn't happen until right here. So I would have just moved it to break even, and you'd have been stopped out before the white trade ever happened. In this case, still. But I'm just trying, because you have a situation right there. You said, okay, that's a triple top, and you broke your rules and exited the trade. That time it worked. Okay, you weren't close to a target this time, but hey, this is the fourth test of that level. Was the point I was making. So you did something different there and let it ride. You weren't right at your target, but it's still the same level. So I'm just pointing out where the emotional tie is there, and why you want to test for things like that, so you don't get caught in the emotion of I want to save what I've got. Yes. Well, no, I wouldn't move now. If you're filtering trades based on the trend mode, no, I wouldn't do that. If the trend mode says that you're not going to take that trade, then no, I wouldn't move the stop. If you didn't exit the trade and it didn't hit target one in this case, and you left your full stop on, you wouldn't even had to take the green trade. You would have gotten all that off the original trade. Because your stop would have been down here in the 455 area. See what I mean? That would have saved you commissions on the second one. You would have gotten a full target two, a full target one for the full 50%, 25% for target two, and 25 big trailing 25% up here, because you were coming off of this entry, not this one. So you'd have had an even better profit on the trailer. That's right. So if you had followed your rules, you'd have been a whole lot better off than bailing out of the trade. And you wouldn't have been exposed to, since you're trading POQ1, you'd have hit your POQ1 parameters, and you wouldn't take any more trades and wouldn't be exposed to any more risk in the market. So that's why I wanted you to think about that one a little bit. I'm glad we went through that, and you said that, and because that is a great point, is bailing out because you think you want to preserve a profit may actually cost you in the long run if you had stuck to your rules. And that's exactly what it did in this case. I'm not, with that particular situation, I probably would have done the same thing that I'm talking about. Is I would have taken the 50%. If it were me, I'd have taken the 50% off at target one, or very close to it, and moved my stop to break even. And or at that, if I looked at that and analyzed it, I'd have probably gone back and done some testing if I hadn't already, to say, hey, if I miss target one like that, what's best? But in this case, you weren't close to a target, so you didn't have the emotional push to take the profit off, and it ultimately ended up being a big trade. But if you look back at your original purple trade, it actually would have been the same big trade, actually a better big trade, if you hadn't taken yourself out of it. That's why you want to be very careful about looking at a particular situation and saying, oh, this looks like this, and do something different than what your rules are before you test for it. Now, noticing that and taking the time then to test it, I absolutely do that. If you see something that looks like it might be worthwhile, go back and test it. But make it a part of your rules so that you're not tending to, the more times you break the rules, the easier it gets. And the more you break your rules, the more often you're going to get in trouble. In this case, it got you out. You probably did at least as well with that and the second trade as you would have done purely off of the first. But that's something that is hard to know in the moment unless you go back, unless you try to find enough of those situations and test it to see if it's worthwhile actually putting in a rule to get out if you get. And it may be based on get close to a target, or it may not. But in this case, getting close to the target was an emotional attachment to getting some profit and avoiding a loss. But being willing to break the rules to avoid a loss, you ended up costing yourself something on that trade. That's all I'm wanting you to look at. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because I haven't tested it. I'm saying you need to test it and determine if it's something you need to make a rule for, rather than doing it on an emotional one-off basis when you see a particular position happen. You need to do enough testing to know if that particular formation is worthwhile. Looks like the short was a break even, at least on Catapult. And now we have a long setting up. Not moving terribly fast, but that chart is not designed to. That's a great discussion. Thank you, Neil, for bringing that one up. And I'm certainly not picking on you, but that was a white short trade. Oh, okay. You're talking about this one? I'm assuming that's going to be a white trade for you. And yes, that one would be one that you're not going to be in because you're using trend mode. And I'm sure that that 20 moving simple moving average was still blue at that point. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. You would be POQ. I was just pointing that trade out to anybody else looking because the trade plan on Catapult would be, since this is pretty much a scalp plan, that would be the sixth trade, and that would still be a trade plan trade. It would be so this session would have been 5 break evens in that one big trade. So I was just pointing that out for everybody looking at it from the catapult point of view. But then this one is definitely out of session for everybody. And so you're doing a 2 p.m. Central session as well. Do the hour before close. Okay, that should be an interesting one too. I haven't looked. I'm one to be. I'm into other things by the time the afternoon sessions come around. So as a backpack trader, I'll trade in the morning and get on to the rest of my day. All right. Any other questions this morning? That was a good discussion. All right. I don't see any other questions coming in, and their numbers are dwindling. So I believe I'm going to call it a day. Good luck this tomorrow's trading, and we will see everybody on Monday. So everybody have a good one. You too, Miles. Pamela, have a good afternoon over in England, Great Britain.